Happening, guys. Welcome into another breakdown and prediction show for this weekend's super middleweight showdown between unified 168-pound champ Callum Smith and simply one of the best pound-for-pound fighters on the planet right now in Canelo Alvarez. And what's sure to be a fight with plenty of fireworks this Saturday over in the Alamo Dome in Texas. Canelo enters this fight as the prohibitive -600 favourite, and that might be a surprise for anyone who caught the face-to-face this week, as Smith towered over the much smaller Canelo, with the British fighter having a 6'3" to 5'8" height advantage, along with a 7.5 reach advantage over the Mexican also. Those stats haven't affected the betting line, however, as Smith comes into this one as a healthy plus 350 underdog. I personally love the value in this fight. Myself and Gianni made a preview of this fight back in February in studio, and my opinion hasn't changed since then. I have a 5% play loaded for this matchup, and it's honestly my favourite boxing play of 2020 so far. So head on over to WagerTalk for that as we continue that monster run we're on in boxing right now. In this weekend's other fights, Gennadiy Golovkin takes on Kamil Szeremeta in Florida on the Zone on Friday night. This should be an absolute gimme for Triple G on Friday. Despite being the IBF mandatory, Szeremeta hasn't fought anyone at world level. And this looks like a perfect tune-up for Golovkin, who's been trending downward in recent times, let's face it, due to age. He's definitely slowing down. So I definitely say a Golovkin, I think he's got to steamroll Szeremeta here inside a few rounds as he looks to renew interest in that possible trilogy fight against Canelo next year. At best price, though, of around -600, Golovkin by KO isn't the best value on the board. But I can see anyway Szeremeta makes it to the final bell in this one. And I like Golovkin to get the knockout in spectacular fashion in Florida on Friday. On Saturday, Showtime card over in Connecticut, Gary Antonio Russell takes on Juan Payano. And this is a tough fight for the Washington up-and-comer. Payano comes in off an absolute war against Daniel Roman back in September and should provide a third test here on Saturday for the undefeated American. On that same card, one of the hottest prospects in boxing right now, Jaron boots Ennis, takes on veteran South African Chris Van Heerden in another matchup where an up-and-comer is tested against an established fighter. Chris Van Heerden's been around a long time and he can box. His only legitimate loss came against Errol Spence 5 years ago, so nothing to be ashamed of there when Spence was on the come-up himself. So Van Heerden, who also trained and sparred McGregor for his Mayweather fight, can definitely hang here. But to me, Boots really looks like the real deal. And I've been incredibly impressed with the 23-year-old has handled himself to this point. And this looks like another step too far for the agent Van Heerden. -1600, too steep for me. But I do expect Jaron Ennis to get the W in this one. And finally, the main event from Saturday Showtime card pits one-loss Emmanuel Rodriguez up against undefeated Filipino fighter Reymart Gaballo in a real crossroads fight for both fighters. Now, this fight was initially supposed to be Emmanuel Rodriguez versus the Filipino Flash himself, Nonito Donaire, in a really good clash. I was really excited for that one. Nonito, however, tested positive for coronavirus a few weeks ago, so the fight was pushed back, and Gaballo was brought in as a replacement. But, what a replacement. 23 wins, 20 of which came by knockout. The assassin certainly presents a challenge here. But nonetheless, I like Rodriguez in this one. His one career loss so far was to one of the best pound-for-pound fighters on the planet, and the Japanese monster himself, Naoya Inoue. And to be honest, I thought Rodriguez fought the wrong fight going into that bout. Rodriguez was actually my dark horse for the WBSS tournament as a whole. And at 6-1, I thought the Puerto Rican fighter was excellent value for money. Up until that fight, questions were still relatively unanswered on Inoue's back foot game. So Rodriguez, who's a fantastic outside fighter, decided to go front foot heavy in that one and test the Japanese fighter from the opening bell. That was a mistake. And Inoue wasted no time in knocking out Emmanuel Rodriguez in the second round, going down a few times in the way also. If Rodriguez can get back to the form of how he beat Paul Butler 2 years ago, I think his movement and counter-punching should be too much for Gaballo in this one. Gaballo, while he does have incredibly quick hands, is too predictable for me. He's got that left jab, overhand right, left hook combo he uses over and over again. If Rodriguez's team have watched any tape on Gaballo, Rodriguez should be able to time and counter that combo as Gaballo sets his feet. So my free play this week, take Emmanuel Rodriguez at -150 as your free play for Saturday Showtime card. That'll wrap things up for this edition of the Boxing Prediction Show. As always, leave us your thoughts. And you can also catch me over at Twitter at the SportsWolf83 and at my handicapper page, Kevin Dolan, over at WagerTalk. As always, thanks for listening. And until next time, Slán Abhaile.